You got worried about me for a second.
Yeah, you had me worried.
All right, good evening, everybody. How are you guys? You guys enjoying the conference so far? Well, that was something. You guys enjoying the conference so far? All right. I'll be sure to put an end to that. I got to tell you guys, I go to a lot of different places. I speak in a lot of different places to a lot of different realtors, and this is probably the first time in my life that I can say that I have so many people in front of me that are disappointed that I am not Johnny Home, okay? I can't wait to meet this guy. How many of us are connected on like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, anything like that? Raise your hands high. I want to see who we got. Wow, okay, a lot of you. That's fantastic. I always love to see that because I like to get a chance to chat with you and everything else. We follow each other's lives. It's such a cool thing. And I was in a place recently. I was in, I think I was in Texas. And I'm in this place in Texas, and this lady comes up to me and she says, you know, I've been following your stuff for years. She goes, your boys are adorable. She goes, as long as I've been following your stuff, I've always wanted to come to a live event. And she goes, I drove 6 hours to be here today, so you better not suck. That's literally what she said to me. Now, why do I tell you that? I tell you that because it changed the way that I look at events, okay? I used to have this goal that I was going to motivate. I used to have this goal that I was going to show people how to grow their business. I used to have all of these different goals, but I literally have one goal tonight. Can you guess what that is? That goal is to not suck, okay? So let's hope we hit the bar on that one. I'm going to be brief tonight. I know that you all came here to listen to this, so I'm going to be brief tonight, and I hope we get a chance to hang out with a lot of you. But to give you a little background, I'm kind of the man of the unwritten rules. I believe in unwritten rules. I'm kind of like... any of you watch that show on HBO, Curb Your Enthusiasm, with Larry David? Any of you watch that? By the way, for any prospective speakers, make sure you use an example that applies to about 5 people in the audience. That's always a great way to win people over. So I'm kind of like him, though. I like unwritten rules. I believe we were joking around at the table, like I believe when you're on an elevator, do you talk to the person next to you? Oh my God, what do you mean yes? No. No, you give a little wave, you look forward. If it gets awkward, you look at your phone. Everybody knows you don't have cell reception, but you're looking at your phone, right? You do that. I'm the man of the unwritten rules. We were kidding around at the table before because I was in a situation where I went to this event, and I'm always afraid to go to the bathroom beforehand now for this reason, because I went to this event and I was in the restroom beforehand, and I start using the restroom. And for the men in the room, how many men do I have in the room? Guys, that's the easiest question you're going to get all night, okay? Let me just throw that out there. I saw some of you look around, you check with your wife, am I a man? That's about as much of a fastball you're going to get tonight, okay? How many men do I have in the room? Okay, men. When you're using a urinal next to another man, do you talk with that stranger? You don't, right? So I'm at this event, and I go to use the restroom, and to this day I'm scarred by this, and I start using the restroom, and all of a sudden this guy pats me on the shoulder and goes, you're Jared James. And I went, we're doing this now, huh? This is it's completely unacceptable. Little life lessons for you guys. That's what I'm here for, okay? So, a little more background, guys. I grew up in this industry. I was my mother's unpaid assistant for many years before I sold real estate myself. Any of you have an unpaid assistant at home? So I was my mother's unpaid assistant. I was the kid that was 7 years old, you know, walking around with a briefcase, okay? I mean, I didn't even have the code to the briefcase. There was nothing in the briefcase. Like, to me, this was just that I had arrived, you know? Like, other kids are showing up with their shorts, and I got a briefcase in my hand. And I was always that kind of a kid. I was always, I wasn't a complete, I had scholarships to play sports and everything, but I've always been a little different. I've always been obsessed with what makes people tick. I've been obsessed with why do some people do so well and other people don't do so well? Why is it that we have these intentions of what we're going to do, and yet so often we don't? How many of you have ever set a diet and you didn't stick to it? How many of you, no matter what I say, you're not going to raise your hand? Let's get that out of the way right up front here. I'm with you guys for 2 days, tonight and tomorrow, so let's just get it out of the way, okay? How many of you ever set a diet and you did not stick? How many of you broke your diet tonight? Okay? We were fighting at lunch, you know, we're pushing the cheesecake in front of each other as if it's like going to jump into our mouth or something, because it's tough, right? And so I've always been obsessed with what does this? What makes people actually follow through? What makes people not follow through? Have you ever seen someone in your area who's doing more business than you, and you're thinking to yourself, like, I'm better than them? And guys, don't look at anybody right now. That's just completely the things you see up here, okay? It's completely unacceptable, but haven't you ever thought that? Haven't you ever seen somebody and you're like, I'm better, like I care about my people more. Why is she getting all the listings? Has anybody ever had that situation? Say I. You guys are such liars. It's unreal. Guys, this isn't going to work here unless you're honest with me, okay? We are too soon in our relationship for you to lie to me, okay? So this happens, and my thing has always been like, why does that happen? And there's a couple reasons, but I really believe, number one, I believe people have different potential. I believe that we grow up listening to different lines that are just such nonsense. You know, follow your dreams, follow your... Look, I'm the biggest dreamer there is, but guys, dreams are for people who are sleeping with drool coming out of the side of their mouth, okay? That's really, like, get up and do something. You know, you hear things like, well, you can be anything you want to be if you just try. I want to be a 6'1" female volleyball player, which I can probably do in today's age now that I'm thinking about it. It's a terrible example. And by the way, just so you guys know, I say whatever comes to my head. So if I say something ridiculous, you know, just look away. I'll know that's a universal sign for that didn't go over. But these things just aren't true, guys. Everybody has different potential. You don't think that's true? If I play basketball every day for the rest of my life, will I ever be as good as LeBron James or Kobe Bryant? Why not? I practiced as much as them. I want it as bad. I can do anything I want to do. Why is that? Different potential. Part of my job as a speaker and a coach and otherwise is really to be able to determine what is somebody's potential. Otherwise, you're going to push them to a place that they can't handle, but at the same time, you're not going to push them far enough to where they should be. How many people in this room, again, if you're just being completely honest, and I probably should have built more rapport before I did this, but I got limited time here, guys. How many of you know right now that you are not fulfilling your full potential? By a show of hands. How many of you know you could be selling more real estate or whatever it is that you do? How many of you just raise your hand? Okay? The thing that I want to do with you over the next couple of days here is really break down why that is and how you change that. Because the truth is, it's really not that difficult. I know it sounds like it is, but it's really not. And so we're going to get into that. We're going to have fun. You're going to laugh. You're going to be motivated. But over the next 2 days, especially tomorrow, guys, I get to roll up my sleeves and I get to really get down to this is what works. This is what's actually working every day. There are things in our industry, guys, that are absolutely foundational, fundamental. Referrals have been here, are here, and will always be here. That's just how it is. But then there are tactical things. There are things like people creating Facebook ads now that go to a landing page, and they're creating seller leads every day for such a low cost, but we don't even know how to do that, but it's tactical. I don't know if that's going to be here 3 years from now or not, but right now it works. And so it's our job, it's someone like me, it's my job to really show you how does that work? How do you take advantage of right now? Because the real game in real estate, I hate to break this to you, is not to be the best realtor. You should be the best realtor. You should train like crazy, but the truth is, like any business, it's really who's the option. 60+% of people, according to NAR, use the first realtor that they get in front of. If we're in front of more people, we'd probably sell more houses. True or not true? Again, guys, these are fastballs. Okay, I shouldn't see people thinking about it. Okay, it's very true. It's very true. But I also, one of the opportunities I get in this industry from getting to go around and talk to a lot of different people at a lot of different places is I get to kind of see the industry from an oversight and really see what's going on and what's being taught. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'll preface it in a second so that you don't think I'm crazy, but I believe as an industry you are absolutely teched to death right now. I am all for technology. I'm using technology right now, okay? But as an industry, we literally have people in our industry that do what I do for a living, and every week, every month, they go to new places and they come up with new apps that do exactly what last week's apps did, constantly retraining, constantly and just confusing the junk out of people. And what's happening is we're creating a culture of real estate people who are learning to set up, try, learn, and do everything but sell a freaking house. Does anyone know what I'm talking about right now? And so look, I love technology. The role of technology was to free you up to do the things you should have been doing all along. Okay? That's what it should have done. You know, you've got these two different generations. You've mainly, not always, but you've got the younger generation, but you can't get a hold of them unless you shoot them a text message or a Facebook message, but you can't get them in person. And then you got the other generation who just says, I don't need that, that's not the way we do it. And there's this bridging of the gap that occurs, kind of like when the car came out. Yeah, you can get there in a horse and buggy, but a car will get you there 10 times faster and dry. And I promise you there are people fighting for the horse and buggy. But technology is important, but it's important that we understand how to use it. We understand how to make us more efficient, not just take our time. You know, we live in a world that's ever changing, guys. Has the way we communicated changed? Has it? How many of you at some point in your life, either you yourself or someone you knew at some point in your life said, I will never get a cell phone because what do I need to be reachable all the time like I'm God? Raise your hand if you yourself or someone you knew said that. How many of you right now don't have a cell phone? Congratulations. Could you imagine a realtor now without that cell phone, without that? We can't draw lines in the sand about what we're not going to do. That's what we can't do. But we can't also be so shiny object syndrome that we can never focus on the thing in front of us. Do you know 89%, you know that NAR came out with a stat recently and it said that 89% of all people who buy or sell with their realtor, that given the opportunity, they would once again use their realtor again. 89%. You know what percent actually did? Anybody want to throw it out? It's 11%. 89% said they would, only 11% actually did. The way we communicate has changed. Any of you have a teenager? Any of you know a teenager? Any of you know what a teenager is? Let's get full participation right now. 13 to 19, teenager. The average teenager last month sent out over 4,000 text messages and made 3 phone calls. Any of you know what I'm talking about? Some of you are like, that seems low. That seems... Guys, I'm convinced those 3 phone calls were to their cell phone company because their text service wasn't working. Because they don't call anybody. My niece sent me a text the other day. You want to know what my niece sent me? Here's what my niece sent me. This is what the text message said. Verbatim. You ready? Text message said, call me. That's what it said. Looking at this text message, I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just call me? Like all you did was just create work for me right now. Like why don't you just call me? But the way we communicated has changed. And you can say and draw lines in the sand and say, well, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. But the bottom line is, again, be honest with me. How many of you in the last 12 months have sent out more text messages than in any other 12-month period in your life? Raise your hand. We follow trends. We follow what the younger generation is doing. Some of you are going to create narratives and go, well, teenagers don't buy houses, so what do I care? Because we follow trends. My mother's on Facebook, so she knows what I'm doing. So she told me, she goes, I only joined Facebook so I could see you and see what you're doing, and I could see my grandkids. She bashed it for years. Now she loves it because we follow trends. This is what we do. We live in an ever-changing economy. Guys, think about this. Anybody know the average age of a first-time home buyer? It's 26 to 31 years old, depending on the poll that you look at. Anybody know the average age of a realtor? Look around. See the smile? Average age of a realtor, depending on your poll look at, is 57, 58 years old. But more importantly, the last 4 years, it's gone from 52 to 54 to 56 to 57. That's called a trend. Now, why does that matter? Here's why it matters. The average first-time home buyer makes up 33 to 52% of the overall market, depending on where you live in the country. That average first-time home buyer is average age 26 to 31 years old. That average first-time home buyer, when polled, 67% of the time said they prefer to use somebody closer in age. But not because of age, but because they want someone who knows how to communicate on their level. Isn't that true? Guys, don't you hate it now? Don't you hate it when like you communicate with someone in a certain way and they don't do it back? Like you text someone and then they call you, and you're thinking like, I didn't want to talk. That's why I texted you. And you actually are getting ticked off on the phone, like this is why. Because they're frustrating your world because you're going, this isn't the way that I wanted to communicate. And yet that's what our buyers are saying today. They're going, I want to be communicated in the way that I want to be communicated with, and if you're not going to do that, then I want to go to someone else who I think will do that. It's a different generation, guys. The average first-time home buyer right now looks at William Shatner, and they don't see Captain Kirk. They see the Priceline guy. Completely different generation. Completely, we've got to understand how these things work. So we're going to talk about some of these over the next 2 days. Who's coming tomorrow? I just want to know who I'm going to spend time talking to tonight, who I've got to ignore. All right, awesome. Hopefully a lot more of you make the decision to come tomorrow. So the other thing we're going to be talking about over the next 2 days here is I've got a new book out called Get Out of Your Way. And how true is that? Get out of your way. Because we can come up with all these different narratives, all these different stories, all these different reasons why we're not doing what they're doing, why we can't do what they do, But in the end, who's the common denominator? Guys, I'm a kid from a single mother household with 2 brothers and a mom who never graduated high school, let alone college. I had the same narrative as them. I had the same everything. Who's the common denominator? Guys, the real issue, if you're honest with yourself within your life and your business, the real issue is not that you don't know what to do. It's that you don't do it, right? You want to lose weight 500 years ago, diet and exercise. You want to lose weight 250 years ago, what is it? It's catching on. You want to lose weight, January of this year, what do? And yet we'll go buy a belt from some infomercial that straps around our waist and shakes our stomach enough, and if you act right now, you get 2 for $19.99. Because please, anything but diet and exercise. How true is that about us as a whole? Guys, there's over 7 billion people on the planet. Only one of them has the ability to keep you from getting what you want, whatever it happens to be. That's the truth. And so the moment we stop making excuses and the moment we finally take accountability and say, look, there are things that I can do to get what it is that I want. Nothing's holding me back. I might have a little bit of a more difficult path than someone else. I might have to work a little bit harder. I might have to. But as long as you build in that inner excuse, as long as you have that self-defense mechanism that makes you feel better about where you are because I just can't do that, you'll never go anywhere. That's just the truth. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I think most of you came to this convention because, number one, obviously you want to have fun. I mean, let's face it, this isn't my first Realtor convention. Some of you will not even remember this conversation. What time is it? You might remember some of it. But you also come to these things, I hope, because you want to run a better business. Is there anybody in here that would be better off in the next year if you made more income? It's not a trick question. Is there anybody in here that would be better off if in the next 12 months you made more income? That's a lot of what I'm going to talk to you about over the next 2 days. Guys, there is a difference between having a business and owning a business. What is Donald Trump known for, other than his ridiculous hair? Building skyscrapers. When was the last time you think Donald Trump got up and built a skyscraper? When do you think it was? You're known on a regular basis for helping people buy and sell houses, but I guess what I'm trying to say to you is that if that's what you're doing every day, you're making a mistake. You'll never get wealthy, you'll never get ahead, you'll always be selling your time for some kind of an act, for some kind of a thing that you're doing, some kind of a task, and that's not how you get ahead. Success in real estate, guys, is no different than time in the kitchen. Any of you cook? So here's how it works, guys. Whether I've been in the kitchen for 10 minutes, whether I've been in the kitchen for 10 years, whether I've been in the kitchen for 100 years, if I have a recipe, and I take that recipe, and I put those ingredients in when I'm supposed to put them in, and then I preheat the oven to what it tells me to preheat it to, and I put it in at the right time, and then I set the timer, and my ingredients for bread go into the oven, does the oven then ask, how long have you been cooking? Does the oven say, I'm sorry, this bread's not going to be as good because you're not a seasoned chef. Does the oven ask any of those questions? It's pretty simple. When you put the ingredients together and you follow the instructions and I put it in for bread, guys, what's going to come out of the oven? Bread. Do you think real estate is any different? If you don't like where you're at right now, I'm going to get a little bold right now, it's our fault. In the last 12 months, every single person in this room made the exact amount of money they deserve to make based on the ingredients that they were sowing on a regular basis. What I'm going to try to do with you over the next 2 days is show you what those ingredients are. We've got thousands of people in our programs that are doing fantastic. I could give you story after story. I'll give some of these stories tomorrow. But it's not because they learned how to change into a cape in a phone booth. It's because they followed the instructions and the oven never asked them, how long have you been in the kitchen? The market never asked them, well, how long have you been in the business? You can't do another transaction this month. Guys, I'm going to be very upright, just truthful with you. I remember the first time when I was selling real estate, I remember the first time that I made over 100 grand in a month. I don't usually tell people this, but you guys have been kind people. I like it here in North Dakota. I remember the first time I made over 100 grand in a month, and I can remember my mother never made that in many years over. And I remember what that did to my mindset. I remember I just kind of went, wow, if I could do that once, I could do that again. Because once I had the ingredients, what can I now do? Once you get the recipe from Auntie so-and-so or Grandma, whoever it happens to be, you now can do that whenever you want. Is that true? And so that's what has to happen. But the thing is, when you're doing this, because there are so many different ways to make money in real estate, so many. I mean, it's ridiculous. I have this belief if you want to catch a fish, you throw a line in the water. I have this belief if you want to catch a lot of fish, you throw a lot of lines in the water. And the more lines you throw, the more potential for fish. But at the same time, if you're going to throw more lines, you better have a bigger boat. And that's called infrastructure. And that's where a lot of us are lacking. Right now, we do not have the infrastructure to really get that thing that we want. It's the equivalent of showing up to a pool in a winter jacket with no swim clothes on, no nothing, and going, I can't wait to swim. We all know you're not getting in the pool. You just look ridiculous. Okay? That's what it's like when we're going, I want to grow, I want to grow, I want to grow. And we look at the infrastructure and we go, there's no way that could ever happen. It's just not there. You're getting exactly, it'd be no different than, like I said on the video to you guys, when you put the ingredients in for a pizza, wouldn't you be shocked if a lasagna came out? Right? You're going, I want a lasagna. Everybody sees you're making a pizza. And they're going, I don't think, should somebody tell her? Should somebody tell her the pizza's not coming out? That's kind of what it's like within our business when we're not sowing the right ingredients on a regular basis. But we've got to challenge ourselves. If I were to walk around right now, or even as I get the chance to talk to some of you guys tonight, I'm not going to ask you, don't worry, we're here to have fun, I get it. But I would guarantee that about 90+% of you, if I were to say, where's the majority of your business come from? You'd go, referrals, past clients, sphere of influence. You know why? Because we as people are water. We are path of least resistance. We are whatever's going to get me the least amount of rejection with the most result. Whatever's going to, we are water. Until we challenge that water mindset, you will never go to the places you want to go to. There's an old saying that says you can judge the level of success somebody will have on this earth based on a number of awkward conversations they're willing to have. You ever heard that? Now, if this were a tech conference, that would have been tweeted to ridiculous right now. But as I can see, nobody has their phone in their hands. So you can judge the level of success somebody will have on this earth based on the number of awkward conversations they're willing to have, how much you're willing to stretch yourself, how much you're willing to go anti-water, how much you're willing to. But there are other things that matter as well. I can teach you all the business building strategies that I can possibly whatever, but if you don't get this right, it just doesn't matter, right? It's like a car without gas. You can buy the most beautiful car in the world. It's gorgeous. You don't put gas in that car. Where's it going? It's useless. I can teach you every strategy in the world. I can teach you every whatever. If you don't learn to get out of your own way, it just doesn't matter. You know, they said the number one reason for the top 100 salespeople in the world, you know what it was? They did a study, top 100 salespeople in the world, number one reason for their success. Anybody know what it was? It was something called ability control, ability to manage your own state of mind. That was number one. Ability to control, ability to manage your own state of mind. It's number one. You ever once heard it taught at a conference? Anybody? It's the number one reason, state of mind. You guys know what state of mind is? How you feel, How many of you someday wake up in the morning and you are just rearing to go, you're ready to get more done in the next 6 hours than you usually do in 6 days? Say I. How many of you have had the experience where you woke up in the morning and you are just do-do-do-do-do? Any of you? And you don't even know why. That's state of mind. How many of you have ever woken up on the wrong side of the bed? What does it mean to wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Somebody tell me, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Better question. Is it a good thing or a bad thing for your spouse? Because you know when you're not in a good mood, you'll be damned if anyone around you is going to be happy. Is this true? Or ability to control, ability to manage your own state of mind. We are in an industry, people, where people vote of who they're going to use many times based on who they want to be around. Right? You ever had somebody close to you? Don't raise your hand, but any of you ever had somebody close to you, family member, aunt, whoever it happens to be, that used somebody else to buy or sell a house, and you were ticked off. And you're calling everybody going, I can't believe it. You call Auntie Sosa, you're like, I can't believe it. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? You know what Auntie Sosa's thinking? I can believe it. Like, I don't even want to be on this phone right now. Like, you're not fun to be around. Yes, you're a great salesperson, but nobody wants to be around you. Maya Angelou said, people don't remember what you say or do, they remember how you make them what? You ever met someone you don't dare ask them how they're doing? Guys, remember, I'm the man of the unwritten rules. What's the unwritten rules when somebody says, how are you? What are you supposed to say? Great, fine. By the way, you see how she went high-pitched? There's this old thing about communication. 7% of communication is verbal. It's 90. The higher pitch someone goes, the more they're lying. That's just a little thing for you, okay? There you go. That's why when you run into someone in the supermarket or something and they say your name and you're not sure who it is, that's why you turn around and you go, hey! You're trying to figure out who that is. You have no idea, okay? The higher pitch someone goes, the more you're lying. So the unwritten rule, it doesn't matter if, like, you got gangrene in your foot and your toe's about to fall off. Someone says, how are you? You're supposed to go, fine. But some people don't know these rules. So you're going to go up to them and you're going to say, hey, Nancy, how you doing? No offense to Nancy. Nancy's a lovely lady. I've enjoyed my time here like you don't even know. I'm going to go, Nancy, how you doing? And Nancy's going to go, well, I'm glad you asked. Guys, that is the telltale sign that you are now in trouble. Because Nancy is about to go on a whole diatribe about how her dog ran away and got hit by a car, and as she chased after it, the car ran over her foot and broke her foot. And you know she doesn't have health insurance, and what's your response to Nancy? Jeez. What's your response to Nancy? That's great, Nancy. Let's hang out for the next 2 weeks, right? You want nothing to do with her at that point, okay? These are the little things that matter. You can learn all the sales strategies, all the whatever. State of mind is what matters. Your state of mind is controlled also by your ability to change the meaning. Do you realize on a regular basis, the mood you're in, the state that you feel at the moment, comes from what meaning you assign to what the people around you are doing? Do you understand that? Do you understand that, again, guys in the room, any guys married? Okay, guys in the room that are married, have you ever said something to your wife that you did not mean in any sort of a whatever way? And she's like, well, what's that supposed to mean? You're like, I'm not that complicated. It means exactly what I said. Like, I was just saying, are you going to wear that? It was a question. Are you going to wear that tonight? Because I was just trying to figure out if I should wear something like that and get more dressed up. I wasn't saying anything about the size of your rear end. I wasn't doing any of that. Right? But what meaning did she assign to, are you going to wear that? What did she hear? By the way, guys, number one communication thing you want to learn. It's not what you say, it's what people hear. It's all that matters. It's not what you say, it's what people hear. What did she hear? My butt looks big. That's what she heard. She heard, you think my butt looks big. I was trying to figure out what I'm supposed to wear tonight. Am I getting dressed up? Am I doing a t-shirt? That's all I was trying to do. When you learn to change the meaning, because the meaning you assign to things ultimately controls how you feel and how you act. You will act based on how you feel or what meaning you assign. Here's a perfect example. It will make you do things that you wouldn't do when you feel a certain way, when you assign a certain meaning. I was at a high school reunion. I almost said a year ago, but now it's been many years ago. So I'm at this high school reunion, and I'm waiting at a line for the men's room, which right away sounds like, what was I doing? That's like against man code. I have a lot of bathroom stories now that I'm thinking about it. I really don't spend a lot of time. I just want to make that very clear, okay? I'm a normal functioning, okay? So here I am, and I'm waiting in this line, and this guy, and I forget the name, but a guy comes over to me, guy Peter, whatever, like a friend from high school, and Peter says, it's a terrible name for this story, let's switch that. Let's change that. See, I'm trying to think of, see the meaning you just assigned? Do you see what just happened? Now every name that I'm thinking of is not good enough, because I'm like, they're going to twist it. Can't name him John. I can't name him Alex. Alex, is that all right? Okay. Can I get a second name? Because I'm going to pull it from you guys. Alex and who? Who else are we going with? Joe? Joe is good. All right. So Alex comes up to me. And Alex walks up to me in the line, and we see a group of men using the restroom, and Alex looks at me and he goes, is that Joe using the restroom? Is that Joe? And I look over and I go, yeah, that's Joe. That's Joe. Alex walks over to Joe while he's using the restroom and starts to shake him uncontrollably. I later found out this is called water fountaining him, okay? I'll let you figure that out. And he's shaking him uncontrollably, and I'm like, oh my God, like, is this really... Now, guys, here's the whole thing. Turns out, it wasn't who we thought it was. Now, I figured I can hold it, I'm getting out of here, because technically I'm responsible. Like, I told him that's him. Now, my point is this to you. What meaning did he assign? That was Joe, right? The fact that he assigned that that was Joe, did it change the way he acted? Guys, I hope to God it did. I hope to God he doesn't walk around on a regular basis just walking up to, random men and water fountaining them. It changed the way he acted. And isn't that true with us, guys? We do it all the time. I was in a situation where I was doing an event, I'm just going to say 6 months, okay? So about 6 months ago. And I do this, I'm contracted to this event to do the opening keynote, and there's about 2,000, 2,500 people there, which, guys, that's easy. This is difficult. You all have food in front of you. I got to come up before the band. I got, 2,000, 2,500 people, though, who are there for the event. They're sitting theater style. Piece of cake. Energy's there. Piece of cake. But I'm also asked at this thing that when you're done with this keynote, would you also go and do a separate breakout to follow up on some of the things you're going to talk about? Kind of like what I said I'm going to do tomorrow. Roll up your sleeves and really get into it, right? And I say, sure, I'll do that. So I do the keynote. It goes tremendous, whatever. I start walking over to the next room because it's about 15 minutes or 30 minutes till the next one it's going to start. Guy catches me in the hall. He goes, hey, man, I've been a Facebook friend for years. Like, mind if I walk with you, whatever? I'm like, come on, man, let's do it. So we start walking. We start talking. We walk into the room where I'm going to do the breakout now. Now, I just spoke in front of 2,000 to 2,500 people. We walk into this breakout room. It probably fits no more than 150 people. And we walk in, and the guy, there's a true story. The guy looks at it, and he immediately goes, oh, what have they done? This is terrible. Everybody's not going to fit in here. What were they thinking? There's no way that everybody's going to get in here. What were they thinking? He says these things. Now, what he said, was it true? Yeah. What he said, did it empower me with where I needed to be at that moment? Could I change that at that moment? Could I make that room bigger? No. So you know what I had to do? I literally had to stop and do what I'm trying to tell you to do right now. I had to stop and figure out how am I going to change the meaning in this situation. And you know what I did? I stopped and I paused, and he was kind of looking at me like I was kind of weird, but I'm looking over and I said, this room is going to be packed. I said, the energy is going to be so amazing in this room because it's so packed that everything I say is going to have so much expectation attached to it that such a high percentage of people in this room are actually going to implement what I say in here because the energy is so amazing. And he's kind of like, huh. Now, that's exactly what happened. Same exact situation, same exact scenario. What did I do? I changed the meaning. It's really that simple. Guys, when I grew up, a lot of people used to call me the golden boy. They're like, oh, everything he touches turns to gold and everything. Do you know how much that ticks a guy like me off? I'm like a duck. Okay, above the water, you see the nice, graceful. Underwater, I'm going at it. You know what I'm saying? And that used to tick me off, but I learned this a long time ago. Very successful people, guys, it's not that they have the best of everything. It's that they make the best of everything. You ever met people who are just constantly surrounded by drama? Oh, God, another thing. Oh, my God, I can't believe all these people around me have so much drama. I can't. Guys, they're not surrounded by more drama. You know what they do? They themselves do drama. They feed on drama. You ever noticed every time you fix a problem, another one comes up? Problems were there the whole time. You can just only focus on so many. It's like pain in your body. You can only feel one pain at a time, right? It's like they tell you if you get shipwrecked and you get a cramp in your leg, which would mean you're going to die, they tell you to bite your tongue and create a greater pain so you don't feel the cramp. That's a terrible reaction. I just saved some of your lives with that right there. I'm just saying, I don't know how you usually react when somebody gives you life-saving information. That just happened. But it's true. Our mind is the same way, guys. We can only focus on so many issues at a time and so many problems. That the problems were always there. The issues are always there. My point to you is this. Whatever it is you want to find, it's there. Anything you look for is there. You ever noticed anybody had somebody around them get pregnant and all of a sudden you see pregnant people everywhere? There wasn't some secret notice where they told everybody to start mating, okay? It's basically you just started noticing them now because you see that, because it's around you. It's the same thing in anything. If you don't get this down, though, I'm telling you everything else I'm going to talk about tomorrow, and you'll hear from other people, is completely pointless. Because there'll be no room in your universe for any new stuff. You'll just constantly be dealing with the same issues, with the same problems, with the same drama, with the same people, with the same... And guess what? They're not the issue. We've got to learn to get out of our own ways. We've got to learn that nobody can drive you crazy unless you give them the keys. We've got to learn who's worth it and who's not. We've got to learn these kinds of things. Just because we became adults didn't mean that we all of a sudden learned these things. And yet, how true is it that I don't know you guys personally, and yet I know every one of you? I know what you go through. I know how you think. I know how you Somebody who seems happy all the time, somebody who seems like they're just a little bit more good things going on, somebody who seems they've got just as much crap as you. But they learned how to change the meaning. There's this thing called a paradigm shift. Paradigm shift is when a bug continually hits its head up against a window and doesn't realize that no matter how hard he hits his head up against the window, he's never going to break through the window. The paradigm shift is when he recognizes there's a window open 2 feet to the right. My very simple question to you is, what is your window open 2 feet to the right? That's some of the stuff that I'm going to try to help you with as I get to chat with some of you tonight. Although don't get too business tonight, guys, please. And tomorrow morning. That's the kind of stuff that I'm going to try to help you with, okay? Before I close here, guys, I want to let you know real quick. You guys are the first place. I told you I just came out with a new book called Get Out of Your Way. You're the first place that I've got to bring this book to, okay? Like, literally, you're the first. And it got here like 3 hours ago. Me and Nancy are writing back and forth. We're like, did it arrive yet? Did it arrive yet? I'm going to have a conversation with my publisher. So for any of you that are interested tonight, look, it's $15, it's $14.99. If you would like that book and you want me to sign it or you want whatever, I'm going to be back in that dark corner right there, but I'm not staying there long, guys. I'm going to stay there for like 15, 20 minutes. If you want it, that's great. If you don't, it's just one of those nights where you're like, you just want to hang and you don't want to do that, that's completely fine. But I'm going to hang there for 15, 20 minutes, and then that's that. If any of you want my last book for 100% free, you want the ebook for 100% free, no strings attached, simply go on your iPad, your phone, send an email to yes, Y-E-S. It's up on the screen, yes@jaredjamestoday.com, no strings attached. With the new book coming out, I want to get the old one into as many hands as we possibly can for free. Okay, so you send an email on your phone, whatever, yes@jaredjamestoday.com, not jaredjames.com, Jared James Today. I'll end with this, guys, and then I hope that just me being here with you tonight has talked at least a few of you into sticking around for tomorrow, because I'm telling you, I promise you, you will not regret being there, but you will regret not being there. You ever had a moment, you ever had something that you went to that literally changed your life and just was kind of like your aha? You were like, oh my God, why aren't I doing that? Any of you ever had that moment? I really believe that tomorrow can be that moment for a lot of you. I really do. I'll end with this right here, and I want you to remember this. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have a bad week. It's not okay to have a bad 1099. There's ways to get around that. Thank you so much, guys.